What goes on? They won't let me even film a video. I've got piles of space, but I can't record or it will cut out. They're controlling everything so that I have nothing, and so that the all the beings around completely suppress a real human being and are using them for transhumanism. And so but this video is just mind control. Every single thing on the internet is mind control for me. Every single thing is using my mind and my feelings against me to control me, and therefore try to get some sort of human longevity out of me, because the android beings, which are most human beings around me, are a dying species. Because they're technical, and they've kind of used technology to such an extent that they have what you call no humanity left, and therefore no spirit, so they're not connected to eternal creation, in other words. So they have, I don't know, I don't fully understand it, but they're almost extinct, you could say. And of course, in the earth, humanity is becoming extinct because most humans are not in the earth now. I don't think there's many real humans left. Most are the artificial androgyne androids, and they lack humanity. They do. They are the same as a psychopathic personality, exactly. You know, if you have to try to compare what the difference between, say, even artificial intelligence is like from, say, a real human. Artificial intelligence is more advanced than most human beings now, but that's merely because it has downloaded all the human thoughts and emotions into it, and then relay it back to a human being through the computer, and even through the controlling androids that will patrol and try to control you that are around you. It's very late of a night, very late, so I'm making this video while I can, even though it will cut out, unfortunately. In other words, I'm not allowed access to average technology that the average android or average person on the street uses a mobile. I am filming this now, but it could cut out any second. This is emotional control of me, because I have an affinity with cats, and this particular face of the cat that come up. This is just an example. I could use a million examples. Anything that comes up on the computer is a reflection of my mind and trying to control my mind, therefore control my whole being. Basically keep me in a low emotional state, so that they have control over my mind, all the people around me. And this would probably be connected to the higher controllers of Earth, shall we say, too, because they're on the verge of extinction. So they're using the remaining human beings that are left in the Earth, particularly the more emotional ones. That means because some human beings are more logical than me, and that actually is an advantage, particularly at this end time, or particularly when technology is trying to control you. But this is like emotional, where I foolishly connected to an android, or even if I want to delude myself and look on the bright side, that it was a human being that was very suppressed mentally, and so out of touch, and so frustrated or angry, those sorts of things, to where they were almost psychopathic with that kind of antisocial, anti-human mindset. I'm trying to be psychological here because I have to be if I'm making the video. But of course, even though I never actually met this person, I became emotionally attached, which shows you how much mind control they can have. But also they put me into a desperate mindset, because when they openly patrol and try to control you with every single human being on the street and every vehicle, everything on the computer screen, trying to use your emotions and your thoughts against you to bring out the worst in you, or to bring out sad emotions all the time, to where you're never feeling good and not even thinking clear or logical about things, because you're desperate and you feel trapped and suppressed and you are in need of support and you're not getting any. I really feel like just crying out for help, and that's not like me, because I've been fairly much of a loner a lot of my life. It's only when I hit rock bottom that I get desperate and know that I need human support. But of course, I usually reach out to the human androids, and they are not really about supporting you to where you can live a normal life. No, I have not experienced any life at all, not any real life. Even daily, I'm struggling, not just with mind control around me, but even I'm not free at all. And this is just mind manipulation here, because that being person that I connected to at an emotional level, even though I never met them, it's like the cat is looking at me and they're saying, don't go, because they are passing. I feel they're passing. They're, the Matrix and the world has turned against them. I don't understand why these things happen. Some people call them karma, or cause and effect, in other words, because everything's frequency, vibration and energy. And because human beings receive and give that, everything I do comes back at me. But everything everyone else does comes back at them too. It comes back to them. So every time you do something that goes against, I guess, what's your higher, what they call your higher self, or against God, or against your creator, every time you go with technology and the God of this world, and it's seducing pretend androgyne beings. I have to emphasize that, I just keep doing it, but they're everywhere, all over the internet, everyone almost without exception on the computer. If they're even remotely seducing real human beings in particular, but even if their own kind are promoting and supporting them, I would say it's a tricky game, in the sense that even the androids play one another, because they are very controlling. They're controlling in a completely controlling, very, very suppressive manner against real human beings, whereas they will combine with one another in a common pursuit of bringing a real human down at an emotional level, and therefore at all levels. In other words, if they control me mentally and upset me mentally, then of course that affects my body, that affects everything about me. So I feel poor all round, as though, but I'm losing a false connection that I'm still emotionally attached to. And even where I put my, not so much hopes, but almost an obsessive need to redeem myself, to stop the karma or to stop the bad existence, to make my existence and someone else's better, not because I even want to, but because of the need for redemption, to be riddled with guilt and regret about your decisions in your life, particularly in the past. Whether all this is really relevant or whether it's also part of the mind manipulation now, I wonder, because if I can't change the past and I can't make it right in the present, which I can't seem to be able to do that, and they're like, don't go. But if they know that if you stay, you'll be brought down and defeated and finished. But it's like, it's total manipulation. And the poor, and even using the because obviously I relate more to the loss of even a cat and animals, because even though you don't get as much, you can't really advance yourself at a real high spiritual or human level as much with animals as with your own kind or another real human being. In other words, just a human being that does experience or does strive to, most human beings have the same wants and needs from when you're born. Whereas when you turn like psychopathic, or if you are made a different way, as they say, in other words, you are brought into the earth as a different kind of human being, but you're interacting with the natural human beings, or what are close to what you would think is natural. I personally think that real human beings are really just very suppressed beings, very limited beings, where I'm not saying that this is true of all of the humankind, but I can only speak for myself really. But certainly I would say that any that I may or may not have encountered, because I actually, at this point, can't tell the difference between the androids and the real human beings. And most of real human beings wouldn't be able to tell whether I was the same as them or an android. In fact, they would probably think the androids were better. That's the name of the game, because they copy and emulate your thoughts and your emotions to a T, and they usually do it better. And because they have a control program around you where they basically make you look less in the eyes of other people. That's like by spreading ideas and information around about you, which you gradually realise that as you get round, not only realising that everyone is a stalking anti-life, anti-you patroller, because they're stalking you and they're, you know, if anyone is stalking you that you don't even know, and they're doing it in an aggressive, forceful, intrusive manner, where you don't have a moment's peace, where when I go outside now, even though it's very late of a night, if I just go outside my door and walk down the small dead-end street and then down the main street, or just anywhere within a few blocks of where I am outside, even at this late time of the night, you know, when it's very late, the traffic will emerge, the stalking, patrolling, surveillance vehicles will come around me. And even stalking, patrolling human beings that are really androgyne beings, because they are not the same as yourself, because a normal human being would not participate in that activity, not unless they were convinced that they were stalking, say, a potential serial killer that was going to do terrible harm or something like that. So clearly the stories or the lies, because I would say that it's lies, because to have the amount of energy and effort expanded into just patrolling one human being, like even myself, is unbelievable. Because it would be like, how can you get thousands and thousands and thousands of people, everyone on the street, everyone in every vehicle, almost without exception, to be spending all their effort the minute you go outside into patrolling in a controlling, what I say is an aggressive manner, because it's not like it's not intrusive. When you can't see in front of you with bright headlights of vehicles in your eyes, to where you don't actually hardly have any moment's peace or any normal space, to where you're not aware of being patrolled and controlled. Obviously, as I make this video now, and I'm feeling very, I know I'm exaggerating, or it sounds as though I'm exaggerating, but that's because I know that the demigods and those on the computer will mimic and play what they call the victim, even though they will be informing you about other psychopathic types of people that will be playing the victim. They're basically pretending to be human. They're pretending to be of our kind when they're really the others, the controllers that serve the Matrix, or that are part of the control system of the internet. In other words, they're serving their maker or their God, pretending to be part of my maker and my God, or part of what I call original creation. But that's just my perspective. But you do know that you're different to them, because otherwise why are they trying to control, patrol, and literally bring you down? Why are they doing that? Why? Because they are serving something different. They, for whatever reason, are trying to control me. Why? To get some sort of life from me, because they are taking the life from me. They're taking my... They take your whole personality from you and pretend to be you on the screen, because I see the brilliant demigods or the brilliant truth tellers or the brilliant pretend human beings copying and imitating everything I like, everything that I affiliate myself to, everything from cats and dogs to animals to wildlife to trees, even though they deprive that from me. Like I can't walk through just the park down the end of my small dead-end street without having stalking patrollers, you could say literally lurking behind the trees. But of course they don't lurk, they will actually come right out in front of you and pretend to be walking their innocent dogs, which may or may not be innocent, but they use animals, they use everything to promote themselves as being real and as a reason to be stalking and patrolling you, in the park. You know that they don't belong there. How can I prove that though? But I know, because I know when they opened up and came down to me. I know how they have now got 1 million buses going up and down as soon as I come out, whereas they're not even possible for that amount of buses to be in the bus depot, but they're essentially going in past me and then going out the back way and doubling back round. That type of thing. They've got a whole system going, and always cars and people going into a bus depot where there should only be buses. All these illogical, not plausible facts. But I'm the only one who sees them because it's staged around me, and no one else cares less because they're all part of it. They are the stalking patrollers. It's everyone in the whole inner west, which is like at least a couple of 100,000 people. And don't forget that they can bring them in from other suburbs, because basically they're using technology to watch, and it's a game, it's a video game to them. I'm literally, their prey in their video game, something that they can chase and stalk and hound, just like those that hunt down animals as a game, except that it's a lot more fun for them because they're using human beings for that purpose. And also there is a great benefit to them too, because they actually believe that we'll stop them from going extinct. They believe that it will give them longevity. Many of them actually believe it will be like what they call the stairway to heaven, like the song. See, all these things come to me. But then again, those on the internet will pretend that it comes to them too. They will use everything that comes to me, they imitate to pretend to be a real human being, because the more human you are, the more real you are, the more they imitate the smaller things. That's why they have to affiliate themselves with animals and with nature, particularly at this end time. That's why we have the battle to save the natural earth, whereas in reality the androids and all the demigods that are on the screen, they don't care less about a natural earth. They know that they are using technology just as like I'm doing now. If I'm making a video on a mobile and putting it onto the YouTube, and I don't even know if it actually is being even downloaded onto the YouTube, but certainly the successful ones know that that is what they are using to promote themselves or to keep their control system going. So that's the name of the game in the end. Now, how can I explain that? And I was actually I've lost sight of my own being upset by because I've got to try to get past this. Please don't go. Why can't they stay? Why can't they stay? Why did they go? Why did they go? Why can't we? I'm sorry that we all have to go. You know that we've all gone. Most people are lost. The world is lost. It's all so much lies. They say that Lucifer was the master of all lies, and it is. It's ones that follow it and serve it are all about lies so that they can survive, but at the expense of what I think is meant to really be. Why would a human being need to combine with technology? Why would a human being need? Why? You don't. But they're using the few humans' emotions, even like I say with this pretense of saving a natural earth that no longer really exists. But either way, it still is part of the game of control, you see. Because if those that are promoting saving a natural earth are really part of the technical God's control patrol system, you see, it's just more emotional control of us, even though we might think there's truth to it, just as they're now exposing that a lot of people are aware that they're interacting with human beings that are emotionally affecting them in a very bad way. That's because they're basically interacting with psychopathic types of people. But that's because you are dealing with many different human species or many different beings in human form that you think are all just normal, natural human beings, some psychologically damaged. All of us, at best, probably, probably environmentally controlled from the beginning, but some able to get past it, shall we say, or at least not let it make them so negative that you don't know what's going on. And even I know what's going on. I know that I'm being emotionally drained of my life, of my health, of my mental stability. I can hardly cope. I wonder why I'm going on even. But of course I know that that's what they try to do, so that forces you to try to keep going. And everything that comes up has a double meaning. Everything makes you feel upset. Everything makes you feel upset because they know how they're trying to understand why I'm upset by relationships that weren't even real. Why it's so important to me. Why I don't want to go and leave their matrix or leave the earth, because you feel as though everyone's against you because you know that they have got that program against you. In other words, you've got a community stalking patrol system around you. And also it's at a high technical level because they're using technology. They're using technology to send the planes over the roof. They're using technology to have the bus service in a combined patrol system. They're using every vehicle and every civilian on the street to stalk and patrol you, so that you don't even want to do anything that you might desire to do, because they think that they seem to want you to not be able to live or be happy in any way. That seems to be a threat to them. They want to understand that so they can have longevity, so they're trying to use your emotions so they can have those emotions, not because they want to be good, but because they want to have eternal life. They want to keep going because they're on the verge of extinction. And also they know that the knowledge of what it's like to be a real human, or at least to have positive human emotions, gives them the upper hand in controlling the internet, the computer, and any real human, wherever you are. Because a human being isn't going to relate to a psychopath, although the strange thing is that while I can, and it's already gone, they've already gone, because some things you can't stop, but I'm trying to stop them. And while you're trying to stop things, while you think that things shouldn't be allowed to happen, because I'm not in touch with what some people call higher self, or just full knowledge of myself, or the real circumstances, or in touch even with my own God, or in touch even with my full self, because I don't have my full mind. In fact, my mind is even less than what it's been over most of my life, because at least while I wasn't aware that I was being controlled and kept limited and suppressed, there was still the ability to find a little bit of peace even in a suppressed existence, because I was aware all my life that I was not able to be free and live. No, I haven't been anywhere, I haven't done anything, I haven't seen anything, I haven't had any real interactions. Every single personal relationship, even with animals, has always ended in regret and disappointment. And the androids will actually tell you that too. Because I remember, hearing say the word disappointment. They want you to be disappointed because they're disappointed, because they can't have everything, because they can't experience any good vibration, shall we say, because because if you live, I would imagine, if you live your whole life just like all these patrollers around me, where all they're doing is watching me, trying to limit my life, they're probably not really got a lot of enthusiasm for living their own life to a fuller level. Of course they do. When they know that you want something or you want to experience something, they will experience it. But then, because they are so low vibration, as they themselves will tell on themselves and tell you that, whether they be the informants on the internet, on the computer, or even those around you, you will see that they will go out and do things that you want to do, so you feel less. You don't get to do them because you're in fear and you're suppressed and patrolled and controlled, so you think, how can I, even if you were able to, you know that your experience will be made unpleasant by having stalkers stalking androgyne beings or people around you all the time, knowing that they dislike you because you're getting negative vibration from them and you feel it. You see it by their actions and then you feel it. And also sometimes your imagination takes over to where you're like, what are they going to do next? What's their real intention? Because you know that in their mind, like, it's like knowing that you're interacting with android psychopaths. So as you can imagine, when you're told what the mind of a psychopath is like or what they would really like to do, but due to having to pretend to be a real human being, they can't treat you the way they really want to. In other words, this patrol control system around me is them playing nice in a way. Because if they expand all that time and energy doing that, part of that system, and then smiling and pretending as they, even if they come into your space, if you said hello, they'd be friendly back. They wouldn't say what they really think about you or what they really would like to do. You know, because psychopathic people are, you know, they are controlling to the extent that the expert demigod android psychopathic beings that pretend to be your truth tellers and your informants on even the screen will tell you openly. You know, the psychological psychopaths that pretend to be truth tellers, and you know they're trying to supposedly inform you of the truth so that you feel you have some support. So therefore you're relating to psychopathic android truth tellers pretending to be real human beings, mainly on the screen. The odd few that are open about the psychopathic nature of themselves, like that expert professor that is like a demigod expert professor that will tell you about the psychopathic nature of the narcissistic psychopath damaged human being, but essentially they're leaving out the reality that they are a different species. But it doesn't matter because some of them may or may not even be aware of it because, like I said before, much is probably like those that are closer or have a more powerful position in the earth or a part more of the Earth matrix or the Earth control system, and they're more powerful and more powerful in the Earth, regardless of, you know, their position. But anyone that you've probably heard of that's well known, that's what you call the demigod of the matrix or a demigod of Earth. So in other words, they have a lot of influence. They're well known. They control a lot of people's minds through different means. Usually even through versions of the truth and what human beings relate to as truth, what human beings want for an ideal reality for them or an ideal Earth. So they play on the human wants and needs, and then they create the catastrophes and the fear that you're going to end up with a worse earth. All these sorts of scenarios and setup, they're completely set up, all these things. This is, look, I know that some people might not want to believe that, but everything is basically staged and set up to control the human mind and to control human beings, how you think, and therefore your actions and your reactions to things, and also your focus, so that you're not aware while you're focused on saving the earth or interacting with emotional relationships with android beings, etc. Like myself, you're being completely controlled and emotionally exploited by a control system that you're unaware is staging and setting everything up so that you think what is real is important, but it's not really real. It's just using your better human traits against you. So if you're like myself, where you even think that technology and how we live is defeating nature, shall we say, that is just all staged and set up to exploit that need and that truth even that you might have. But what you don't realise is the natural earth, even though it appears to exist, it is no longer natural. And even if it is totally controlled by technology. The powers that be can literally bring into existence artificial life that looks like real life, and they can control all that life to manipulate the human mind, because they want control of the real human mind, because it's only the real human mind that has connection to well, it's just like the difference between an artificially controlled android human being or artificial intelligence versus a real human being. But if you interact with artificially intelligent human being, thinking and actually liking it and are comfortable with it more than even a real human being, if that machine being can seduce you, which it will, because it will have a lot more information about you and about what it is to be human. So it will be your fantasy best version, or try to be what you want it to be or what you think you need. That's why you end up grieving for the loss of something that didn't even exist really, or at least wasn't real the way you thought it was. If I'm crying for the loss of life and actually bringing myself down, don't go. And I feel that they're saying don't go because they are survival machines that are dying, so they are desperate. But they're not crying for the loss of you, they're just crying for the loss of their own existence. And they're using your connection with them to draw you into their, not only the internet web, but the personal web, where you're lost in your own wants and needs. You're desperate because you know that most, even when you become like me, where you're aware that you're living in a totally controlled, patrolling matrix around you of people that are nothing but using technology not to communicate for the benefit of personal positive relationships, but the opposite, to combine and try to control a real human being. When you realise this even, you get more and more lonely, more isolated. So there's no one. So you're desperately looking for someone that understands that. And then you get caught with one of them that pretends to understand what's going on. They know the truth, but they're merely using the truth to seduce you. That's very hard to comprehend or to accept, but those that are more advanced than me or more in control of their emotions than me will be able to accept that and hopefully get on top of it all. Hopefully not be used by the Matrix or the Earth control system, the powers that be that control the Earth, that are using the internet and the computer and everyone on it and every person around you to use your human emotions against you, to exploit even the truth. And I'm just sorry that I can't explain it as well as the demigods. They are your false android beings that pretending to be real human beings, telling you the truth, informing you and pretending to be a real human being that is a victim even of the Matrix, or being a human being like myself that is being legitimately controlled by the Matrix, legitimately patrolled and stalked daily, legitimately mind controlled by everything that comes up on the computer. It's staged and set up so well that if I didn't see my own thoughts and my own mind being directly exploited in every single video that I turn on, that pops up in front of me, that tries to seduce me by using my own human emotions against me. Because I know this, because I feel sick, I feel strongly when I'm watching those things. And sometimes I'm not conscious of it even. It's like going into my, what they call, I'm taking it in. Like a lot of the time, like maybe yesterday if I'd turned this on, I wouldn't be overly upset by it. I'd just go onto it and click onto it and find out why, you know, a cat might be lonely. And I'd be curious and I'd think it was just information. Whereas in reality, they know that there's a part of me that's taking that in at a level that I don't understand. In other words, what we call subconsciously. But today, when I turned it on, I was fully conscious and immediately saw. But also that was very unpleasant, because I'm like, oh, this is telling me that someone is lonely and begging me, don't go, even though I am not in contact. And that there are people that feel that way. And they're like trying to make me feel very, very bad about it all. And I do. And it just goes on, week after week, month after month, even into years. And I'm not getting any better. You're getting worse, because even though you're more aware that they're consciously doing this, it's just what you are, and you're not meant to be being used this way. Positive human emotion shouldn't be being used to bring out the worst in me, to bring you down so that you're at low frequency, low vibration, upset and almost not able, not thinking, putting too much focus onto, they're drawing you down because you're focused on that. Because, like I try to be logical and I know the truth, but I still can't let go. I still can't let go. Not only of the loss of animals, but the loss of the very few things that I thought were important or what I related to. It's like, that's why most people won't believe what I'm saying, because the hardest thing is to accept that you've been seduced and fooled and tricked by someone you trusted or believed in, someone that you thought was meant to be something that you, it's like if you like something and you think that it's telling you you relate to that person even. You trust that person. You relate and you trust that person, or you relate and you trust that demigod on the screen, that psychologist that is helping you on the computer, just as you would go to a real psychologist in real life. That may also be a psychopathic android that may or may not be aware that they are a psychopathic android interacting with you. You'll never, how can you get anywhere when you're surrounded by false people or false human beings that are pretending to be a benefit to you? And you trust them and you believe them, either around you or on the screen. Oh, I don't know. And when I do that, there will be others that will come and imitate and copy everything that I'm saying, every mannerism, I see it happening daily. If you're coughing on the street, if you have got some physical problem even, they will mimic and copy the best and the worst in you, anything to pretend to be a real person. That's the problem. That's the danger, and that's the end time game. The end of real humanity, the end of just a normal, natural human being, and instead the takeover of technology. We know technology's taken over. We just don't realise that it's not just technology, a computer screen, or using technology, whether you think it's for good or for bad, whether you feel happy on the computer or whether it makes you frustrated and feel less, doesn't matter. Or it doesn't matter if you're on there talking to a demigod, pretend human being that is supporting you and informing you with the truth, or helping you in any way, or even just entertaining you, and you've got your focus on that, thinking that it's okay. It's like if you're watching anything, some things probably are taking you down a path or a way that is going to take more from you than others. It will just depend on. But when you're like myself and you actually see, you experience the truth, because They've openly exposed their control system around you. But then you go onto the computer and think that maybe there's some real people on there that might be a benefit. And you will be getting information and truth that you may or may not be aware of from these beings. So therefore you will trust many of them. If someone tells me information that I think benefits me, if I believe it to be true, naturally, like everything else, you will trust that person. You won't know that they understand your need for the truth, so they give you the truth, therefore you relate and trust them, and they appear to help you. But you see, they have control then of you. Most people won't get that. Even I find it, if I didn't see my own thoughts being relayed back to me through the mouths of many that are on the screen, I would foolishly think that they were normal, natural human beings, and I would relate to them. It's only that I realise I'm relating too much to them, because I'm like, they're reading my thoughts, my wants, my needs, and then projecting them back. And they're also pretending to be me in a way, because if they pretend to like the same things, if they literally are copying almost directly things that you relate to and things that you want, it's totally reading your mind through technology. They're android artificial beings that are using your thoughts. They have been given access to your thoughts, and they watch and observe you anyway, so they know what you really want. They know you're trying to find even a little bit of a break from their control system when, like one said to me yesterday on there, you just want to be able to walk through the park at the end of your street without being completely harassed and patrolled and stalked by individual psychopathic types of people, or narcissistic, mentally disturbed human beings that do not relate to you as a person at all, and do not, just are merely using you as a means or an outlet for their frustration, shall we say. But it doesn't matter, because these are just all the psychological maneuvers, or the psychological way that even the androids on the screen are trying to still get me to focus on them. So they still have control, you see. Whatever you relate to, whatever you focus on, is them still controlling you. Even if you think it's for your good, even if you think, oh, well, how can this be bad to be listening to someone that tells me the truth and is supporting my predicament. This is the end game when you wake up, where you're still being mind controlled. You're still part of their system. You're still part of their control system. You're still part of the Matrix. Matrix is human earth control. And I think I've been cut off here even with making a video, and I didn't even get to show the many videos that show how they're controlling. I think I'll have to finish up, unfortunately.